Hi, I'm Becca and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I make these flower rings. They're really simple to make and you don't need that much supplies. I've not gone crazy and I don't wear this many all in one go. It was just the easiest way for me to be able to show you the rings that I'm going to show you how to glaze. All you need is a petal cane or a flower cane and a ring base and a rhinestone if that's what you want to put in the centre. It doesn't take long at all, so let me show you how. Right, so to make the rings, you're going to need some ring blanks, like these ones. These are adjustable ring blanks, as you can see, you just open out. Whether if you can make your own ring bases from polymer clay, if you've got one of the jewellery measuring stick guides, I don't know the right name for it, you can make your own that way. But these are just what I've got. Now, they're only a 10mm wide top, so I need to make these a little bit wider for the flower that I'm going to put on, because the two I've already got made, as you can see, one's a little bigger than the other one, but I've had to make the base a little bit wider so I've got something to push my petals into. So because I've already got one of each of these canes from when I was practicing the cane before I did the rainbow cane video, I'm going to do it in a different petal to show you today. So, which one have we got? There we go. So I'm going to use this large rhinestone for the centre, and I think that one is, it's 15mm. Yeah, 15mm rhinestone. If you haven't got those, you can just make your own centre for them. So I'll just take one of these. Now, to make it a little bit larger, just take your choice of coloured clay, and it can be a ball of clay that's been covered in the slices of the canes if that's what you prefer to do, but I'm just doing it plain because you're not really going to see it. So I've got these circle cutters. This is the largest one. Now if you look there at the difference in the ring, that will fit in it. So if you've got these, dropping it, this is a perfect size for the ring base, for the ones that I'm doing, and that is, it's a 20mm diameter cutter. So if you've got anything that can do the same size cutting, if you're using the same blanks as me. So I'm just going to take one circle to start with. I've got this rolled out on number 2, which is the second thickest setting on my pasta machine, and I've lost it, there we go. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some liquid clay on the back of here, and we're going to try and adhere the ring. Oh no, it's not got a lid on it then. Nearly went all over. Right, so I'm just taking some liquid bacon bond. Just going to cover the clay. And then I'm just going to position my ring base in the centre. So you can pop that down flat, just manoeuvre it where you want it to go. And then you need to cut another circle. I'm losing everything today. I think I lost my marbles a long time ago. Right, so now because we've got this slice in here that doesn't need covering, which is like the actual ring part, I've gone and moved it now. We need to cut that little bit out. If you can see just where the actual base of the ring part is. Ooh, pop it back in. I will put you over here and get out of the way just for a moment. So if you just imagine it's going to be straight down in the centre, and then you're going to want to take a little bit off either side, so we'll cut it straight down the centre to start with. And then you're just going to take a few millimetres off of each half, and then you can audition the piece to see whether if you've made enough gap before you stick it down. So let's see if I can grab it with the needle tool. Yeah, that looks perfect. So you've got that in position as to where you want it to go. And then just put some more liquid clay over the metal part. And then you just want to take your two halves. I'll lift it up in a second so that you can see better. Okay, so I'll put those in. Whoop, knock my bottle over. Right, so as you can see, we've got that gap in there now. So what we need to do is, if you can just try and hold it in between this way, you're wanting to mould these two halves to meet each other around the sides. So just slowly pet the clay and it should come round to meet up. It's very warm today when I'm filming, so the clay is very soft. It's not taking much for me to condition the clay at all today. Okay. Like I say, you're not going to see this part of it, so it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be too precise, as long as it creates a larger ring base for your flower. If you want a smaller flower, then you won't need to do this part, you'll just need to put some clay on the ring for your petals to stick to. And then just smooth it around here. If there's any cracks left over once you've baked your flower, you can always just fill them in with a little bit of liquid clay if you've got any that match the colour that you're using, which I probably will do because I don't want to distort this too much further because it seems to be bending more than I want it to. But it's pretty much how it needs to be. So that is how we're going to stick our petals to the base. So I've already reduced my cane. Now I've done it to about the same size as these ones. Maybe it might be a little bit smaller. Now I did 2 layers, so I used some larger petals for the base one, and then I reduced it a little bit more to do the next one down. So a little bit further. Okay. So you choose how thick you want your slices to be. Don't want them to be too thick because I don't want the ring to be too heavy, and you need 5 for the first base layer. So I shall just go show you how thick. So like that. It's probably about the thickness of a 10p piece or something like that. It's not very thick at all. So I'll cut 5. Okay. So what we're going to do to start with is we're going to position the flowers onto the ring base, so all the centres are meeting. And where that little centrepiece is obviously where the rhinestone's going to go. I'll move them a little bit further back. So as you can see, we've got that little dip in the centre. Now you can use either your needle tool or the back of a brush or just something, and you're going to push down the centre of the petals here. So this will make them cling to the ring base that we've made. Don't do too much sculpting of the petals just yet, because we've got our next layer to put on, and it may distort them if I'm moving them about, and it's pointless doing it twice. So if you just want to make, you can either keep your second layer the same size, but I want them to be smaller. It's all just personal choice as to what you prefer. And then you just want to cut another 5 the same thickness, but of this new size. Okay, so now these ones you're going to overlay where the gap is that covers up the base layer. Yep. Can be a little bit fiddly to start with, but it's worth it once you've got it done. And of course, because I'm on camera, my hands decide to start twitching. The joys of having a neurological disorder. There we go. And so you've got them all positioned again, and you're just going to do the same with the back of your brush or your needle tool or a pen, pencil, just something that you can push down on in the centre. And there you go. So as you can see, this is not really going to get seen at all. So I may just play around with it once it's cooled down a little bit, because like I say, you can see how much it's distorting. It's because that's warm in my studio, so I might have to let it cool down a bit and rest before I bake it and just get it looking more how I want it to. So then we're just going to take our rhinestone and a bit more liquid clay, a bit in the centre, and you just want to take a pencil with a rubber on the end, just push it down. And that's good that the liquid clay is coming out from around it. We know it's going to give it a good grab. Now the next thing we need to do is just create some tiny little balls of clay. There's no other way of saying it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and make a snake. Yeah, there we go. So so I'll just roll it out into a little snake. Try and get it even as you all the way along. And then you just want to cut 8 little pieces. Just make sure I've got a nice flat end. And then if you can manage to keep them on your blade like this, you can measure the next one by just moving it up next to it. Now as you can see, that one's just come off. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And then all you're going to do is just take a piece that you've just cut off and and roll them in the palm of your hand and make tiny little balls. So what we're going to do now is take each of our little balls and we're just going to put them right on the edge of the rhinestone. So it goes over it just a little, and then it goes onto the petal a little, and then if you go opposite, and knock that one off. So if you do it in a north, south, east, west formation, and then you want to take the next 4 and then put them in between. Okay. Stay put. I think everything's just so warm today it doesn't want to. Right, so I've got all of my little balls in place. So just take your needle tool or a pin, whatever it is that you've got, and then push down the clay over, so it'll look a bit like a little flower bud. But once it's baked, it will hold that rhinestone in place. Now if you want to put more to hold it in between those holes, because this is quite a big rhinestone, feel free, just pop it however you want it to look. I just like to do mine with like this. Ooh. If you don't like how one of them looks, just take it off, roll it back up and squish it back in. Very technical term. Okay, so we've got our little buds there. So now's the time when you want to, what I would say, faff, proper Yorkshire term there, faff with the petals, or mould, that should probably be a better word than faff. Now if you're from Yorkshire you'll know what I mean, but if you're from somewhere else in the world you might think I'm saying something not very nice, but no, it's just a Yorkshire term. And then I'm just pinching these petals up. And then that's how I do my first type of flower. Right, so I've already got the bases done on these. You didn't need to see me doing that again, and I've gone with silver with these ones. Now I'm going to use 2 of the canes that I made in my rainbow stripe cane. One, so the purple's in the centre and one that's got the red in the centre. I'll go with the purple one first because purple's my favourite. I've got it to about the size that I want it to be, my cane. Okay, just get it, try and make sure that you've got it even all the way around. And then this is the easier version of doing the rings, and you just want to cut probably about the same thickness as what you've done your other slices, and then make sure you've got it not distorted again because it's so warm. I reduced the cane a while ago and it's still not stiffened up, so if you've got that problem then you can just make your slices a bit thicker. And I'm just using my needle tool to define the petals, so I'm just pushing it in. And if you get any of the clay that sort of like crumbles upwards, just rub it with your finger. Okay. So, and there's your flower. It's a lot quicker than doing it the other way, but it's up to you which way you prefer. So again, you can do different sizes if you want to do different layers like we've done on the other one, but I think I'm just going to leave this as a single one. I might change my mind. So I'm just popping it on top of the ring, just try and get it. If you pop it over that way, you can probably centre it a little bit better. Okay. And then I'm just going to pinch these up a little bit. And then now I'm going to use I think they're a rainbow rhinestone. I can't remember what the actual name for them were. I got them off of AliExpress last year and I really like them. And we're going to do the same process with our little snake of clay. Put some liquid clay in the middle. Put a rhinestone and then take a pencil and then push it down into the clay. And you've got a lovely centre. And then exactly the same as what we did before. Right, so now I've got all my balls rolled out, and I'm just going to take my needle tool again and do exactly the same as we did. So I've got them all in place, and I'm just going to push it in up onto the rhinestone. And there's our simple ring. So it's a lot smaller than the other one. So again, if you want it to be larger, you can just leave your cane larger. So that's a personal choice again. And then once it's sat a little bit, I'm going to blend in the base to the flower a little bit better. If I do it now, it's going to distort the flower part, and I need it to settle a little bit. It's because it's so warm in the studio today. I need it to stiffen up a little bit. And then this is the time for you to, if you want to just push your petals in any further, just do it now. And there's our second ring. So I'm going to go and do the same with this other cane, but I'll do it off screen because you don't need to see me do it twice, and I'll be back when I've got it done. Right, I've just had another idea of what you can do with your base piece to make sure, that it adheres to your flower. I'm just going to take my needle tool and just put some markings around. Don't need to be any formation, but if you want them to be a certain way, then that is up to you. This is just to push the two parts of the clay together so that they adhere better. Okay, that's that, and that's just another added little bit that you can do if you wish, or you could just leave it how I did the first time. So I'll just go and finish this one and I'll be back. I'm adding this bit in because I can't remember whether if I told you on the first ring. You can still do the bit with your brush or needle tool to push down at the centre of the of the petals. So the centre part will stick up a little bit further, but once we push the rhinestone into it, that's not going to make any difference. I'll be back in a moment. Right, so I've got the third one finished, and I've put 2 layers of the cane on this one, and I've made the slices a little bit thicker, so I'm not going to faff with it again too much. I'm going to leave it sort of quite flat compared to the other two, and then as you can see the difference from just having 1 layer to 2, and then this is just rather than having a flower cane, just using a petal cane. So it's your choice what you want them to be like. So I'll go and bake these, and when they've baked and cooled down, I'll come back and show you how to glaze them. Right, so my rings are all baked now, so they're nice and hard. So the only thing left to do is decide whether if you're going to glaze them or just leave them matte like this. I'm going to glaze them so I can show you how to do it. I've got two different ways of showing you. The first way is going to be, well, they're both UV gel as such, and what you'll need is you'll need one of these UV nail lamps. If you've got one, you can get little teeny tiny ones. It'll just take a little while longer for it to set underneath the lamp. But the first way is if you've already got one of those and you've got some top coat gel nail varnish, you could use that. And then the other way is with just some of this UV gel that I got from AliExpress, and it lasts ages because you hardly use any for doing these. So I'll show you one with doing it with the nail varnish, and then I'll show you one done with the resin. Okay, it's been a while since I've used this one, so you can see all the crumbly bits. And then you just want to take your varnish and just cut it as though you would on your nails. So it's up to you whether if you do more than one coat. You don't have to, just personal preference, depending on how shiny you want the ring to be. I just like the look of the shininess of it. Okay, so I'll set that one off to go while I'm doing the other one with you. So I'm going to put that in for 2 minutes, just while I'm doing the other ring. So when I'm doing this, I like to use it directly out of the bottle rather than using the nozzle, because I find that I've got more control over where it goes. Now I've just got some kiddie nail paint brushes. You can get these in bags of loads from like Pound Shop or somewhere like that, and you can use it more than once if you want to just keep it for your resin pieces. But once you've done each of these, you come off with a bit ripe, and this is alright. They're a bit stuck together, but that works out alright for me doing these because it's made it more of a flat brush to use. So I'm just going to take my resin, not a very good shot there, but then don't put too much on your brush at once like I've just done. More full of bottle, so you don't need to put it down so much. So got that on there, and then I'm just again just painting it like you would do your nails. Speed this bit up so you're not watching it in real time, but this is really good for if you've got gold or silver leaf or copper leaf on your flowers. It'll stop it from wearing off. I've got that coated now, so I'm just going to swap it out for the other one. There we go. And it's going. And it's basically just putting it underneath the lamp, so I don't really need to show you to that. It's just waiting for it to harden up. But I like to put it in for the full 2 minutes each time that I do it, just to secure it down so it's had a good enough time limit. And that's done with the, oh, you can see there, shininess. That's done with the nail polish. And I'll wait for the other one to finish its time, and I'll come back. Right, so that's done, and it's lovely and shiny. If it comes out and it's still a little bit tacky, just pop it up back under the lamp for a while. If you've not got one of the lamps, you can use it and leave it out in the sun. I've never done it, but I've heard that it can work because it's still UV light. It'll just take longer. You can also use the 2-part epoxy resin. But if you wanted to if you make a separate flower like this and you wanted to put it back in the oven at all, then you need to use the UV resin rather than the 2-part, because if you put the 2-part epoxy in, it's a disaster. So don't try it, it'll just be wasting your resin. So unless you know that it's definitely not going to be going back in the oven, then you can use the 2-part epoxy stuff. So just show you the difference. No, wrong ring, that's what I've still got to do. So yeah, that's the one done with the nail varnish. So you can see there's quite a bit of difference, but if you wanted it to get this shiny and you've only got the nail varnish, just keep putting more layers on and it will end up being eventually like this. You just have to put more times on it. So I'll go and finish the other ring and some other ones that I've got to glaze, and I'll be back. Right, so I've got them all glazed and finished, and I decided to redo the ones that I'd done before the video as a practice, and I've gone for just putting the UV gel on them instead of using the nail varnish. I just like the more shininess to it. This is the one that we did with the nail varnish. So it has got its own shine, it's just not the same as the UV resin, this stuff. And then this is my favourite one, I really like this one, can't wait to wear it. So yeah, there are other ways that you could actually coat your rings. You could use something called Pledge Revive It, or I think it's there's a different version of it as well. It's a Pledge, it's a water-based varnish for your floors anyway. So if you just put in Pledge floor varnish into Amazon or something, they'll pop right up. They just basically coat your beads. They don't necessarily make them as shiny as this. You'd have to put quite a few layers on for it to get that shiny. It's just a case of painting them with the paintbrush, same as this, but then you just have to let them dry and just leave them a few hours for them to properly dry. So that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I've inspired you to have a go at making your own rings. And if you've enjoyed it, if you could give me a thumbs up, that would be appreciated. And if you've not subscribed yet, if you'll consider subscribing, that would be appreciated too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.